this is Ast3rix and welcome back to my channel. So today, as promised, I wanted to spend some time talking about harmony. Now, our Google search of the definition of harmony states that the combination of simultaneously sounded musical notes to produce chords and chord progressions having a pleasing effect. So that's the official definition of it. But let's go deeper. So harmony, used from a music producer's perspective, is an all-encompassing topic. So there's harmony in drums, there's harmony in the keyboard parts or the synth parts that play, and there's harmony in the vocal parts that you're selecting, and there's harmony in any other little additive item that you may add. Sound effects, rises, drops, you name it. Those things come together to make a mesh of harmonies. And the way that you use harmonies in music production depends on your understanding and knowledge of sound. Meaning that you have spent some time listening to lots of music and not just listening from a pleasing perspective and enjoying the music, but also understanding how things are put together. So you know that drums are like the backbone of the rhythm. You know, guitars add layers of elements of harmony in the background. The bass is an element of rhythm, which is present especially in today's music. The vocals always kind of rests in the middle, and it's also in more presented forward in a soundscape perspective, so that you can hear clarity and understand what the vocalist is saying. So those kinds of things come together to make music in today's modern landscape. So today what I wanted to do is kind of build on those concepts, or how I use harmony in my productions. Harmony building comes from experimentation, just like everything else that I've presented to you over these past 2 years. You have to really experiment with sounds to be able to grow your palette, develop your skills at combining different sounds and elements to make things sound more full and more complex. Being able to hear with your ears to decide whether things match or not is pretty important. So let's get started. I'm going to kind of start out things. I'm going to use the Ast3rix today, and I'm going to use the Ast3rix as kind of I'm going to use it for like brass today, and only because I was just kind of tinkering around with some sounds. So let me just go ahead and do this. Okay, I think that's what I want to do, but I may end up changing it depending on how I'm feeling. So let me just make sure everything is on the grid, because I did have a little bit of latency going on, and then I slowed down at the end here because I was trying to decide if I was going to change it up, and then I decided to just kind of play straight through and then decide if I want to change up something to it later. So let me do that. So I don't think I need that note. Let me bump this down to 8 bars. Okay, so all right, so I'm starting out with somewhat of kind of a melody, and this is only the very first instrument that I'm going to be using. And as I continue to listen to this, I'm making decisions on what I want to do with it. if I want to keep this particular sound or if I want to change it up and do something different with it. Right now I'm going to leave it like it is, and I'm going to turn it down some because it's really loud. So this is my very first element, and in hearing this, I think I want to change the way this sounds. And the way that I'm going to change the way it sounds is by using some additional plugins. I think the very first thing that I want to do to it from a sonic perspective is I want to kind of change the tonality of it. So I think I'm going to end up using, let me just kind of figure out what I'm going to use here. I'm going to go to my unfiltered audio biome. And this is very experimental. Again, this is about harmonies and making things work together. Giving me a fatter sound, which is kind of cool. Okay, that's more and more very distorted. That's interesting. Okay, so that gave me a very interesting sound. So let me see how else I want to do this. So I have this really big sound going in the back that has a little bit of a rhythmic element to it. So now what do I want to do? So maybe I want to add kind of a pad or a softer sound to offset that, to act as kind of a filler sound. I think I'm going to go with an omnisphere, and I think I want to find a padded string, and I'm choosing omnisphere just for sheer convenience, and most of the time when I go searching for stuff I find it. So I'm going to look up pad and strings. Let's see. Okay, so I kind of like that. It's kind of dreamy, but it has a lot of mid-range in it, so I'm going to knock off some of that. I'm going to use a FabFilter Pro Q3, and I'm going to do a low cut on it and see if that cleans it up a little. Better? So I think I want to add a little bit of texture to the melody, and I think I'm going to add one of my absolute favorites now, which is the Ast3rix Mellotron, and let's see what we can come up with that. I really like the Mellotron's piano sounds, very melodic sounding. Okay, I think I'm going to just kind of keep it basic. Alright, so what it does is it adds like a little bit of a top end to it. by adding that mellotron, but let me record that and see if I decide I want to keep it. Let me try that again. Here we go. So see how that adds like a little bit of a kind of a top end melody without really playing anything, and that just kind of adds to it. You can have parts like this play that don't have like any intricate melodies, but just by playing the basics of the primary melody, it acts as kind of an additive filler. So let me. Smile adds like a very kind of a wide stereo kind of feel to those piano sounds. Okay, so far we have a really good start of a melody, and I think I'm going to move into like a sub, and I think I'm going to make it really, let me think about it for a minute. I think I want to make it really fat sounding. Let me think about this for a second. So I've been using Sublab quite a bit since it came out, and of all the sub VSTs that I have, I find this one to be probably the most flexible, because it comes with stock sounds that are like the most modern sounding subs that are available. But the great thing is you can tweak them. So I can just kind of go through the stock sounds and find one that is kind of my standard 808, and then I can tweak it to make it sound like I want it to sound, which is really awesome. So thumbs up to future workshops for future audio workshops for coming out with such a flexible. Ooh, that's ugly. With such a flexible VST for subs. Oh, I like that. Okay, those last two notes do work, so I'm not gonna mess with them. In this case, I kind of started with a melody first, and then I'm building on top of that. Now, the more and more I hear this together with that brass section going, it makes me want to do something different with the brass, maybe change the sound up a little. And experimentation requires you to try different things, so love with this. Okay, so I started out with a very straight brass sound, and I added an unfiltered audio biome with a very interesting distortion on top of it, and I added a looperator dearrange to change up the rhythm. Let me see. Let me find some, like, a drum loop in here. I think we're going to do something different with the drums. I think I want to start with the hi-hats first, though, because I want to do... Okay, so see how I kind of built all of this whole song up? Started out with a single concept of this brass sound, and then I switched it up. It didn't quite fit the way that I wanted it to, so I rearranged it using the looperator. Okay, so now I have a basis of a beat. Now let's talk about vocals. Now, from a vocal perspective, it's really about feel and what you're hearing. Let me see if I can find something really quick to sit on top of it. Maybe we will and maybe we won't. Let's go with a female vox first. Let's see what we can find, because it's fitting. Why don't you leave it alone? You know he won't pick up his phone. You gotta let this shit go. Why don't you leave it alone? You know he won't pick up his phone. You gotta let this shit go. So what I found too is sometimes with these loops, especially the vocal loops, they don't always give you the true tone or the true key that the vocalist is singing in, and that has been what I found so far with a lot of vocal packs. It may say that it's in a key, but it may be close to the key that it's saying that it's in, but it may not truly be that key. So you have to really use your ears to see if it's going to work. Now, using Ableton, I can warp this to pitch it up some, but then that may change the total speed of the loop, and it may also change the tempo. Sometimes I mess with the tempo a little, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't like the speed of what they're saying or how it's being said, and I'll slow it down by putting warp markers in there to make the vocals hit on a specific note value or a specific time frame, which gives it a little bit more customization. And sometimes I don't. It really depends on what I'm feeling. Why don't you leave it alone? You know it won't pick up its phone. You gotta let this shit go. Why don't you leave it alone? You know it won't pick up its phone. You gotta let this shit go. Why don't you leave it alone? You know it won't pick up its phone. You gotta let this shit go. Okay, so that's all I've got on harmony for tonight. Stay tuned. I will be creating a modes series this week. I'm running a little bit behind because I'm working on the mixes and the mastering for my first album that I'll be releasing here in a few weeks. I'm actually working with some local artists, so it makes the project a little bit more complex because I'm having to work with their schedules, and then you're back and forth with recording vocals and getting everything together. But I promise you it's going to be an awesome project. Having real vocalists to work with or having real rappers to work with is really cool because you get to stretch your musical skills and being able to really put the song together. So that's all I've got for tonight, and I'll see you guys later. Why don't you leave it alone? You know it won't pick up its phone. You gotta let this shit go.